Hello, we are doing a shadow hackathon for the Synergy Energy design of an area in the Netherlands. Energy systems, abundance for all. Superformula is a very important one of this hackathon. So we're going to explain a little about it to you. Let me share my screen with you so I can explain. In the last, it is a series. I have to tell you that because it is a series, and the number 1 and the number 2 were already about Superformula, were already about how to design a system, a bioregional regenerative system, a regenerative area. So this is the number 3, and it is the more explanation about the Superformula. Let me share my screen with you. In the number 1 and the number 2 of this series, I introduced a team to you, and that team was also including Dr. Johan GIELIS. Dr. Johan GIELIS is the one who discovered the Superformula around the year 2000, and he wrote a book about it in 2003. And in the meantime, in the 20 years that the Superformula is now in science, it has been used in a lot of sciences and a lot of engineering. But how does it work? First of all, the Superformula is the king formula of biomimicry. It comes from biology. And if we want to design healthy areas like nature does, then we have to understand a little about biology and how our sciences, how our chemistry and our physics and our engineering is different from biology. First of all, we use a lot of scarce materials, but we can, of course, use abundant materials. And nature does that. Nature uses only the main minerals, the main metals, and the main gases in the atmosphere to create everything with sunlight. And that's where it becomes interesting. Because the Superformula has now been proven for 40,000 shapes and growth forms in nature. And that means that everything grows like this. So we can grow our healthy products and very energy efficient products like this. Because nature does nothing randomly. Nature always has a purpose. Nature always has a function. And that is where biomimicry comes in. So on the left, you see all the kind of shapes that are proven with the GIELIS Superformula. You also see how it is dynamic math, dynamic geometry. And that is the cube. I explained in the last series already how you can stand in the middle, but I'll explain it again. And the bottom things are ram's horns, and you can see them from different directions. You can cut them in half. You can do all kinds of things with them. And then they will be functional. So let's see how we do Superformula. I must say, most math, most geometry people see geometry from the outside of the scope. So they look in 3 dimensions. And the 3 dimensions are length, width, and height. And of course, you can cut things in half, but you still look at it from the outside. And that's where I do it differently, and AR does it differently, and VR does it differently. Because VR, like the holograms, are made from the inside of a cube. And you can really think about, if you're standing in the middle, you have 6 directions, and you have number 7, linear time. So the 6 directions are forward, backward, left, right, up, and down. And you're still always coming back to the middle. The 7th is linear time. And I must say, in all the discussions we have in dynamic math, time is not linear, but that's for a different discussion. So there will be 8 dimensions and not 7. But VR is made, and AR and the holograms are made with 7 dimensions, 6 directions, and linear time. And the people who understand this best, who can really feel it, are the divers. Because in water, you can feel your spatial relations much better than when you are in air. So let's see how Superformula does it. 20 years ago, in 2003, the Superformula was made into a logo for GIELIS. GIELIS is a company that works with Superformula. And the logo is made by Albert Kiefer. He is from our area in Limburg, and he's the Leonardo da Vinci of our time. He's the artist who understands engineering, physics, math. He also in Eindhoven has a cafe, an innovation cafe, and Johan GIELIS is often his guest. And maybe I'll be a guest of his too. Yeah, we have discussed it, but we've never come to it. So let's see if it ever happens. This on the left is the logo of the dynamic logo of Albert Kiefer for GIELIS. And how does it work? Well, a lot of the things are not in your vision. They are behind folds. And the folds are the shadows, or the folds are the other side of things. The folds are beneath our feet. Nobody knows, like, the earth is still a black box. Come on, we know about living earth, and we know about permaculture. We know about how to do it with soil and water and things like that, but it's still a black box to science. Science does not know a lot about soil or about water. So the dynamic logo, you see it on the right, works in a way that it has 12 points. And if you look at it with different lenses, which is what we always do in biomimicry, you can take a standpoint from the 12 points, and then you look at the logo differently, and you see what is hidden, which points are hidden, and which points are visible. And that is very interesting to see, because that's what you can engineer with. That's what you can design with, because nature is design. How else can we explain Superformula? Superformula is a whole. Holism, remember? Holism is not written with W-H. It is written with H-O. Holism. It is a black hole. It is a vortex. So if you have a hole, you have a membrane around it. And this membrane is an elastic band. And you can take the elastic band and make another shape with it. You can transform it. You can morph it into another shape. You can morph it into still another shape. Or you can morph it into a star shape. You can morph it into anything you like. In nature, the membrane is always a difference. The difference between inside and outside the scope. And the difference can be different things. Pressure difference, temperature difference, height difference, all kinds of differences. If you look at a 3D vortex, it looks a bit like this. And I've already said that swimmers and divers understand maybe spatial relations best. Because if you are in a vortex, all swimmers know what to do. If you really fight the vortex, you will be sucked inward, really down to the middle, to the focus point down. And if you really relax in a vortex, you will go to the surface, superficial, and you'll be thrown outward. It's a centrifugal force. Well, how does the calculus work of Superformula? This is maybe the most difficult part for most people. So if you really are interested in understanding the calculus, you have to go to Johan GIELIS. He can explain it much deeper than I can. But this is the formula. And for math people, for engineers, this is not rocket science. The R is the ratio. The phi is the angle. The M, I really don't know. The A and the B have to be certain kinds of figures. And the N is where it becomes interesting, because that's where we either close the loop or we open the loop. And you know that I design economies of scope with synergy and synthesis, diversity, niche markets, how to prevent competition in a scope market, because of course the scope is smaller than if you can go to globalization. So you will have open scope, which is with imports and output and exports. You will also have economies with economies of scope, and both economies can grow. So don't think that healthy economies cannot grow. They can. It's just that we're transitioning from economies of scale and globalization and transporting everything around and having very long supply chains to economies of scope, where you puzzle everything together and make the one neighbor to the other. And if you put large minuses neighbor to large pluses for something, it will become easier, and they will use each other's waste stream, they will use each other's pollution, and everything will be an autonomous economy, which is a kind of an island economy. And there I get again to El Hierro. You know the story of El Hierro. It is on our website channel as well. So an island economy is really wonderfully autonomous. It will be self-sufficient first, and only then it will import other stuff. Of course, it will export as well, because every economy has to grow, but it will not export goods. It will export knowledge. And it will sell knowledge. And then if you have a very innovative economy, it can really be hugely growing with Superformula. If you want to experiment with the shapes, you can go to this link, because the 3D Superformula is in here, but also the toruses. And the toruses are very special for me, because you can see how an island economy works. And I will explain it as a waterfall economy, because a waterfall is a torus. So if you really want to waterfall, for instance, energy, you have local sources of energy. It's not so difficult. There are many, many possibilities of local sources of energy, also big local sources of energy. You don't have to keep them with solar or windmills. You can also have like technology like heat exchangers. So it works with heat and cold of water in sheet pile walls, and the sheet pile walls are really abundant in industrial estates, in harbors, in canals. And then if you can be a waterfall of energy going to the neighboring living quarters of citizens, you can solve energy poverty with it. And that's in the end what we want to do, solve an urgent solution for citizens, which is energy poverty in this case. Well, thank you for watching again. There will be more in this series because it's a 3-day hackathon. So keep watching, and otherwise ask us questions. You can always reach us at abundanism.com. We also have the newsletters, which are called Futures on Friday. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.